That's right, bitch. It's WIAGW. I'm a fucking genius.
Got the nasty in my taxi. You need a lift. You can step between the backseat and my dick.
Want to hear an epic joke? Hey guys, guess what this episode's about? Oh wait, you already read the title of the video. Yes, that's right, another prophesized day has come, a day in which we talk about that most beloved series to me, Star Trek. Because there are, in fact, two simultaneously running Star Trek shows right now that are vying for the spot as the true successor to Star Trek. And we're here to answer one question: which deserves the title? Or at least which is better for it. That's right, we're talking about two shows here, folks. Number one, Star Trek Discovery, and number two, The Orville. Now, if you've been paying attention to the discussion online recently, you've probably heard these two bandied about as, contenders to the throne. I heard a lot about it too, and I had to jump in to find out which was better. Now, I plan on eventually watching this Star Trek show no matter what, because I'm currently making my way through all the Star Trek shows. I have seen The Next Generation, which is one of my favorite shows of all time. I have seen Deep Space Nine. I have just about finished the original Star Trek series. Once that's done, I'm moving on to Voyager, Enterprise, and then I was planning to watch Discovery, but based on all the discussion that's been going on recently, I thought I would just jump in right now and see what we got here. Because that's kind of why there really is a vacant throne for one of these shows to grab. I mean, first of all, it's been what, like 15 years since the last actual Star Trek show, Enterprise, was on? In the meantime, it's these J.J. Abrams Star Trek films that have filled the void, but I'm not going to get too into it, but I do not think they really do honor to the Star Trek legacy at all. You can like them. I don't care if you like them. They're just not Star Trek. They're just not Star Trek. I have watched 3 episodes each of both of these shows that are out right now, and we're going to be reviewing them based on that. There's already more of them out, but I don't got all the fucking time in the world, all right? Anyway, that out of the way, let's get right into it without wasting any more time. Let's dive into these shows. First up, STD. Yes, I know that joke has been made, and it's going to be made more and more as time goes on, because DIC is just bullshit. STD, now that sticks in the brain. Alright, now I'm gonna cut straight to it, because you've probably already heard this. This is not good. Yes, it is a perfectly capable, like, sci-fi adventure show in the Star Trek universe and about a commander in Starfleet, but the direction they have chosen to go with the show is, in a word, troubling. One of the things that stands out about this show is that historically in Star Trek, the main character has always been the captain, whereas our main character, Michael Burnham here, actually stands out for being black and only a commander in rank. Is what I would say if I was a fucking idiot, because Commander Sisko from Deep Space Nine was a fucking black commander too. So why is everyone so excited about this? It's been done. Okay, I'm just bullshitting you. That doesn't really matter. The point is, it is unique for this character to be not in charge, because Commander Sisko was in charge of Deep Space Nine from the beginning of his series. Also, this character being named Michael appears to add nothing to the character and is just distracting, so I'm just going to ignore it. Okay, onto the substance now. So, STD begins with a 2-episode battle. Like just a big fucking battle against the Klingons. Why? Okay, see, here's the thing about Star Trek that everyone forgets. It's not like this at all. This is not what Star Trek is supposed to be. People remember, like, the big 2-parter episodes where the Borg invaded in The Next Generation, and they think that, like, that is Star Trek, and that's what, like, all the Star Trek movies are based on, and it's what the J.J. Abrams films are based on. Big showpiece action battle things. But please, everybody, go watch the Red Letter Media reviews of, like, the Star Trek films versus the show. The series is really split between the show, which is good, and the movies, which are generally not. To be fair, maybe it's more 50-50, but nonetheless. The point is, what makes Star Trek great, the thing that I love about Star Trek, is turning on this hour-long fucking episode, listening to characters just talk about sci-fi and philosophical issues, because that is what Star Trek is. It is a philosophy show, couched in a sci-fi setting. And again, go watch Mr. B-Tongue's video about Mass Effect 3 and why the ending sucked dick, and the way he compares it to Star Trek. And of course, I reference that extensively in my own Gurren Lagann video, which is mostly about how Gurren Lagann is so great as a sci-fi stories. So in case you can't tell, I love hard sci-fi. You know, the real technical stuff. The problem with these newer versions of Star Trek is that they are turning it into soft sci-fi like Star Wars. By the way, Star Wars fucking sucks. There you go. It's true. Oh, are you mad? Did it make you mad? Look, Star Wars doesn't actually suck. I just like Star Trek better. Okay, I got you. Let's move on. So here's what happens in episode 1 and 2 of Star Trek Discovery. Our main character fucking attacks her captain and intentionally starts a war with the motherfucking Klingons. That's what our main character does. All right, she's filling the shoes of fucking Picard, Sisko, Janeway, and Captain Kirk, and she pulls this bullshit. All those captains were like responsible guys who felt the weight of their crew and the lives of their fellow Starfleet officers, and civilians of course, on their shoulders and acted in their best interests. While Michael Burnham's whole deal is that her family was killed by the Klingons and like her actions are clouded by revenge. So like immediately I hate her. I hate this character, not for some like arbitrary reason, but because of her actual character. Like she is literally court-martialed episode 2 and sent to jail. Episode 3, she's in jail. This is the fucking main character of a Star Trek series. And yes, I know this is supposed to be a redemption arc for this character. She's going to be vindicated. She's going to prove how great she is. But, like, I'm just saying, I don't like the way it started. I'm going broad strokes here, right? We don't got time to go into the minutiae of every fucking thing that happened. Like, in episode 3, she meets up with the crew that she fucking betrayed and started the war with and killed most of on this other ship called the Discovery. That's the thing they're on. And so basically this arc is set up to be a war arc. That's what this is going to be, a war against the Klingons. And to be as fair as possible, the war in Deep Space Nine against the Dominion, at first I was very skeptical of it and was worried that it wasn't going to be as intelligent as the others, but it proved me wrong, and the characters proved to be way more likable than I thought they were going to be. But like, I already hate the main character, and we're in the middle of a fucking war arc. It just does not bode well. Like, what made Deep Space Nine's war arc work well is that it built up to it over fucking seasons. I'm pretty sure the war started like season 3 or 4. Like, this is now set as the premise for the entirety of Star Trek Discovery. Michael Burnham's arc to get over her being mad at the Klingons for killing her parents. And to be totally fair, Michael Burnham does have some interesting things going on with her character. So she is a pure human who is raised with the Vulcans. You know, Spock, those guys. And the Vulcans, of course, are extremely logical beings, so she's now got this duality of herself, which in fact is extremely similar to the character of Worf from The Next Generation Deep Space Nine. Worf was a pure-blooded Klingon raised among humans. Some people think that he's like half Klingon, but no, he's a full-blooded Klingon. Just like how that guy constantly felt like a prickling of the societies around him, how nobody really accepted him, Michael seems to feel a bit of that as well. And I gotta say, like, that is where I see the most interesting depth to her character. I want to see more of that. It was the best thing about Worf, and it could be the best thing about Michael. The thing is, though, I never actually really liked Worf. What I eventually came to warm up to was Klingon culture itself, and through Worf, I was able to experience that and thought it was pretty cool, which was only deep into Deep Space Nine, by the way. Throughout The Next Generation, I didn't really give a fuck about it. But, like, am I going to experience, like, interesting Vulcan culture from Michael, through Michael? I'm a little worried. And you know, I was actually just reading before recording this, I've heard some people giving this arc shit for, like, being about developing weaponry. Like the fact that Discovery is like a scientific vessel trying to work on a weapon. I think these people are incredibly misguided and missing the point. They are in a war and they need to win it. And it's not like they're working on a fucking dirty bomb or like a virus that's going to wipe out these people. What they're actually working on is some sort of weird fungus that's going to allow them to like basically teleport anywhere at any time. It's like, it's something that'll give them such an overwhelming tactical advantage that the war will be like ostensibly over at that point. They will just be able to dominate the Klingons so completely. So if there's controversy about that, everyone can shut the fuck up. But the other point about how we need to wait for this series to get good, I mean, I just want to compare this to the other beginnings of the arcs, because episode 1 of the original Star Trek, about the people who were trapped in the zoo, that was a great episode, even back in the fucking 60s. The first episode of The Next Generation is like one of the greatest episodes of any show ever, where Picard and his crew are literally put on trial by like a vast cosmic intelligence for the crimes that humanity has committed over its existence, as a way to judge whether or not humans are worthy to join a galactic civilization, a universal community that, in this case, the Q are going to judge them for. That is absolutely Star Trek at its fucking best, and like, this is not. Discovery looks great. It all looks great, but it's a fucking war arc. It's just like the J.J. Abrams shit, and that's exactly what I was afraid of. I am immediately skeptical and nervous that it won't be able to recover from this very slow start because it'll be bogged down by this war shit the entire time, which wasn't even the case with fucking Deep Space Nine, which had a war going throughout tons of it. And the fact that Michael Burnham is a fucking convict, like, it feels like they're just trying to bait us. They're trying to make this thing more interesting than it should be, you know? Like, they're trying to put extra hooks in us when all they need to do is do what Star Trek has always done. Talk about cool philosophical issues and put it in a cool sci-fi context. That's all you gotta do. So, get your shit together, STD, and stop fucking up. Oh, by the way, there's like no other interesting characters besides Michael, Science Man, and then the Captain shows some glimmers of being like an interesting, weirdo kind of guy. We'll see, we'll see. Anyway, that's it for STD. Let's move on to the Orville. So, the Orville is made by Seth MacFarlane. He is executive producer, he's running the whole show, it's his thing, obviously, because he's such an influential guy now, he just wanted to make Star Trek, right? He wanted to do it right, baby. I wonder how he felt when he learned that Discovery was going to be coming out right now as well, and the fact that the Orville was going to conflict with it. I'd be interested to learn, like, the development history there. But in any case, the Orville is basically a comedic version of Star Trek. It is exactly like The Next Generation. It even looks like it. Everything's very sparse. It's intentionally designed to look like The Next Generation. There's no doubt in my mind. I don't think I need to go into as much detail to break this down. Basically, you take Star Trek, you add a layer of silliness over the whole thing, and you get the Orville. There were some jokes that I thought were pretty darn funny, and I have a couple of grievances about things that I don't think make as much sense. Like, okay, I know I shouldn't take all this super seriously, but because we're in the context of thinking about what is going to be the replacement for Star Trek, indulge me a little bit here. So we've got Captain Seth MacFarlane, right? He's the main dude, and the very first thing that happens in episode 1 is he's getting cucked by his wife, all right? Then we skip ahead a year, he is divorced here, and during that year, his career has basically tanked, and he's just basically, at this point, lucky to get a commission on the Orville, which is like a smaller ship. It's nothing as impressive as the Enterprise or anything. It's just a little basic bitch ship. And who the fuck do we end up choosing as the first officer? Fucking his wife, his goddamn cuckolding ex-wife. And the series, like, begins to paint this as, like, the guy needs to, like, let it go and just be comfortable with your fucking ex-wife as your XO. Like, Jesus Christ, would anyone actually do this in a professional situation? I mean, no, right? It's a joke, right? Okay, see, this is going to be the constant tension about talking about the Orville. How much of this am I supposed to take seriously, and how much am I supposed to take as a joke, right? I'm just saying it's complicated. But, like, look at this. Look at the fact that the fucking captain and the commander have, like, equal seating here, right? I honestly feel like this is some blue pill SJW shit. Like, the captain is not equal to his second in command. The fact that it's his wife has made this whole thing so fucking muddy. Like, ooh, you gotta respect what your ex-wife says. Oh, she cucked you? You gotta forgive her, dude. Like, this dude is such a fucking cuck. It's okay to be mad at your fucking wife when she cheats on you. And it's okay to not hire her as your XO. God, the series just goes so far out of its way to make her seem like such a fucking angel. Needless to say, I was not fond of it. If you need a female first officer so bad in your show, I got one ready for the job right here! And again, I know a lot of this is intended to be intentionally ridiculous, but what can I say? There's a tension here. Sci-fi, especially hard sci-fi like Star Trek, that this has all the iconography of, is going to make me take things a little more seriously. Is it really a smart idea to have your ex-wife as your fucking first officer on your ship? Remember how Commander Riker all the time wanted to sacrifice his life for Captain Picard's? Like, all the time he did this. Is Seth really going to send her to do that shit? I don't think that's going to happen. Okay, but seriously, aside from that, there wasn't like some massively offensive blue-pilling shit going on. Although this is a fair series to do it with because, you know, Star Trek has always been blue-pilled as fuck. But it's despite that, it always made a logical argument for why those things should be the case. Oh, which is why in episode 2, when the guys get trapped in the zoo, oh god, this pissed me off. Like, a bunch of the guys start talking about how, oh yeah, human beings, we realized how evil it is to lock up animals in the zoo, you know, like hundreds of years ago, because this is in like 2,400, whatever. So, like, okay, so, stop. Orville, so you're saying that zoos are immoral, inherently? Do you want to defend that position at all? No, you don't. It just trots it out and leaves it there. Did any zookeepers want to weigh in on this? Are zoos inherently evil? Are we inherently abusing animals by this? Like, we got a couple pandas in the zoo. Should we just let them out on the loose and have them fucking die? Like, okay, we can have a debate about this, but that's what I want to do when I watch an episode of a Star Trek show. Have a fucking debate. Present the intellectual arguments, hear them, think about them, and respond to them. I don't want them to just trot out like, oh, we've decided this is how things are. That's blue-pilled gay as shit stuff. Okay, but enough about the fucking blue pills. Let's talk about episode 3. Now, I was feeling a bit on the rocks about the Orville. I mean, I personally do not really care for the comedic tone overall, because I think it kind of cheapens what I'm looking for. Now, to be fair, if some people just want to watch a funny show with a little bit of like Star Trek philosophy in it, this probably is for you, but I'm looking for something to actually challenge me, so yeah, whatever. But then we get to episode 3, and that's when things turned around. Episode 3 of the Orville. About a girl. Basically, the premise of this episode is that there's an alien on the crew who's a member of an all-male species, and him and his partner gave birth to a female member of their species. And the first thing that he wants to do when the baby is born is to get gender reassignment surgery to make it male, because again, they have a fully male society, and he just thinks it's the obvious thing to do. The show then actually has an intelligent back and forth debate about what is the right thing to do in this situation. I happen to think that our dude here came around pretty darn easily to the perspective of, no, girls are just as good as boys, for a guy who had been raised in a society where, no, they are taught to you to not be worthy. But like, let's put that aside. That's all part of like the teaching going on here. Because really, this show is honestly for a pretty young demographic. I really got that sense it's for the youngsters out there. But eventually, this gets involved with like the government authorities of this guy's species, who basically come to take the baby away when the doctor on the Orville will not perform the gender reassignment surgery. Because again, she's human, she's female. She's like, no, this is fucked up. I'm not just going to change a baby's gender without its consent. Interesting that there's some people in our current world who argue that toddlers should be able to get gender reassignment surgery. Are they old enough? Are they mature enough to make that choice? Let's move on. Eventually, the episode comes to a head when an actual court trial happens, and let me just say, the court trials are almost always the best part of Star Trek. That is when ideas are trotted out and you clash idea versus idea directly. And that is exactly what I want to see in a Star Trek. So basically you've got their species arguing being female is worse for these, and these reasons, which is why it's only the ethical thing to do to correct the gender of a woman born in this species and make them male. While, the humans are arguing that no, women have plenty to offer too, which they do. Now, I would argue that it's more complex considering, like, we're talking about other species, right? Like, aren't there some species where the females actually are superior to the males? And vice versa, So, like, this isn't really as simple as applying it human logic onto another species, but we'll put that aside for now. What really impressed me about this episode is that they make this case as hard as they can, using all the logic they can to defend this position. They even bring in a female member of the species who'd been living in hiding in the mountains and happened to be one of the most famous authors on their planet. All the testimony is heard, and then they pass down the verdict. Because one of the baby's parents wanted the procedure to be performed to make them male, they went through with it. Incidentally, that parent was born female and underwent the surgery themselves. So, like, despite all the loops that the show put us through, it actually accepts the reality that other cultures are not going to so easily be swayed by being fucking browbeaten by, demagoguery and fucking talking down to people from, like, some moral superior point. And I gotta say, that is extremely mature and reminds me of one of my favorite episodes of The Next Generation. An episode about a guy who's from a culture where at the age of 60, or was it 50, doesn't matter, every member of the species willingly goes to be euthanized to make way for the next generation. There's a whole back and forth of the episode about whether or not that makes sense, what you should do, but in the end, the guy goes through with it, even though he was in the prime of his life and performing some of the most important experiments. In no way is the show saying that, like, that is morally good or the best way to live your life, but it is saying that sometimes cultural influence is just too strong to be overcome by outsiders trying to impose their ideas on this one. That's real fucking maturity. And I gotta say, I was impressed by the Orville then. Which is why, let's get right down to it. Star Trek Discovery versus the Orville, there's no contest. The Orville is superior. Look, what am I gonna do? Am I gonna fucking wait around for Discovery to get good when the Orville is already delivering solid fucking episodes? And we are only 3 episodes in. Don't take this as a fucking, like, rock solid, which of these is superior, which properly continues the legacy. This should be treated as a primer for which is looking like they're more in tune with what I would want out of a Star Trek show. Star Trek Discovery is too movie-fied, too J.J. Abrams-ified, whereas the Orville is a little more comedic and lighthearted in tone that I would want, but does get down in those trenches and talk about philosophical shit sometimes. And when it does, it has shown me it can handle it with grace, with finesse, and with fucking intelligence. So there you go, everybody. Get fucked, STDs. Haha, get fucked, STDs. Anyway, we're done. Let's move on. To the P.O. Box. Transition. Well, Stanford, if it isn't my arch nemesis. All right, let's get this out of the way right now. Okay, so again, the $2 scholar Stanford, thank you very much. Listen to this. Okay, so this is Stanford, our old friend. Listen, it's my character arc, Nate. I'll never stop unless it's fixed. Oh, he's talking about that fucking dictionary.com issue. This is his character arc. Okay, tell you what. help this man. Whatever it is, it's up here. I don't know. Do this thing. This is pretty fucking hilarious. I gotta give it to you. I'm not doing plugs anymore, all right? So I'm gonna ignore your plug. But what he also asks, also, please describe your school/college's anime club's discussions and schedule, or just give an overview of the club. 19-year-old Stanford. Hey, dude. So my anime club. That's a good question, by the way. That's good. I like that. Everybody send questions like that. So my anime club sucked dick. No, it didn't. I actually liked it. I met a lot of great people in my anime club in college. We would sit around on Friday nights, watch anime for a long time, just hang out and chill. And then on Wednesday, we would have meetings where we would sometimes give presentations. I once gave a presentation to the assemblage of what it meant to be gar. You know, gay for Archer. And I also talked a lot about how, hey guys, did you know girls can be gar too? And I think I showed pictures of like, of Nono from Die Buster and probably Motoko. I know I showed Nono though. Yeah, it was great. So sometimes we would give presentations. Mostly we would just meet on Wednesday, do presentations sometimes, talk about anime shit, and then on Fridays we would get together and watch the anime that we had scheduled to watch on the Wednesday before. That's it. But it was fun. I met a lot of good people there, and people who knew a lot more than me about anime, and I probably would not be here right now if I hadn't been a part of that club. So, thanks guys. Shout out to the TCNJ Anime Club. Love you boys. And girls. There were girls too. Met my first girlfriend at one. What do you know? I wonder if she's seen this shit. Let's hope not. Okay, next package. Hey, I see book pages. Last Man the Chase. It is volume 3. Wait a minute, I think I know what's in my other box. What do you know? Volume 1 and 2 of Last Man. Okay, it's called Last Man, and then the subtitle is like the name of the volume. What do you know? Thank you, mysterious individual who didn't leave your name. I will take a look at these. Okay, these look like Western manga. Yeah, okay. They look not bad. This looks pretty decent. Whoa. I think I literally found me in this book. I'll put a picture up if I can find it again. Okay, let's move on. Did someone say, ask BGE? Okay, here we go. At Soichiros says, spell ICUP. Oh, I've been fucking foisted! At 404 Tales asks, you mentioned enjoying Homestuck. Are there any other Western independently created projects you enjoy, webcomics, etc.? Scott Pilgrim is quite dope, though I never finished it. I read a bunch. My brother likes it. Oh, speaking of which, saintcomics.com. My brother's comics, The Champion and The Vapors, I am both extremely fond of, and I think it's fair to say are my favorite webcomics. I would highly recommend going to saintcomics.com and reading them. They're actually great. Oh, and it's got this fantastic Pokemon comic called Brunswick. It's good shit. Go read it. At StewOn asks, hey, best guy ever, how would you rank all the JoJo parts from worst to best? Ah! No more JoJo! I'm an angry boy. Okay, this was another JoJo question, to be fair. All right, let's answer this right now. All right, you ready for this? Here we go, from best to worst. 4, 7, 2, 6, 5, 3, 1. This is objectively true. If you don't agree with me, get fucked. All right, no more JoJo questions, ever. At Mr. Cactuar asks, have you played any Atlas RPGs? I'm a huge fan, and every other company makes bitch games in comparison. I played a little bit of Personas. I played a little bit of Shin Megami Tensei. Oh, you know what I did like? I liked Etrian Odyssey when I was playing it. I was playing Etrian Odyssey, The Drowned City. I forget if that's 3 or 4. Yeah, I know I talked about this before at some point, but yeah, I like that a lot. I wanted to beat it, but I just got bored or something. I never got around to it. I would like to get back into that. It's still on my DS. Thanks for reminding me. At Yusuf Nader 2984 asks, if someone makes High School of the Dead Season 2, will you spit unicorns out of your pussy? You know, honestly, High School of the Dead is one of the shows that really, honestly, does need a Season 2. Like, desperately. Oh, except for the fact that the manga also got canceled because the guy fucking died. I mean, if the same people worked on it, could be great. If other people work on it, could be shit. I don't know. Honestly, I know it's sad to say, but, like, I'm pretty content to let High School of the Dead just... I'm ready to let that one go, you know? Because the story is not complete. There's no chance we'll get, like, a really great resolution unless they brought in some, like, brilliant screenwriter who was, like, as good as the fucking mangaka and could actually write, like, an ending even though one doesn't exist now, which has been done before. It's not like it's impossible, but, I'm worried. I'm very skeptical. I don't know if I trust anime people that much. I don't know, dude. I think I would just have to, like, see how I feel in that situation and hope for the best. Hopefully they would put good people on it. All right, last question. At SideSam1998, will you ever make an in-depth video explaining once and for all why Fairy Tail is literal garbage? You know, I may one day do that, cover the topic in depth, but in the meantime, I would highly recommend you go watch Craftsdwarf and his series doing exactly that right now in great detail. That man is going in on Fairy Tail every fucking week, month, I don't know, whenever he puts out a video. Because that guy actually watched the anime, whereas I only read the manga, so he's honestly probably suffered more than I have, because like the time investment of reading a manga is significantly less. Though maybe I started first. I don't know, I'll have to talk to the guy. Anyway, the short answer is maybe. Hope that's satisfying. Alright, that's gonna do it for this week. We're done, and this has been WIAGW!
WIAGW!
Yes, indeed, I have once again been a genius weekly. I'd like to thank my producer, and I would like to thank you. Let's not fuck around here any longer, let's just say goodbye. Goodbye!